Hello everybody, Nick the DM here with more March of the Modrons. In this video, we'll be taking a look at Mechanus, the plane the Modrons are native to. I won't be covering all the information on Mechanus in today's video, just what's relevant to the Modrons. So let's get into it. Mechanus is the plane of law, embodying the forces of neutrality. Also known as the clockwork nirvana of Mechanus, it is an outer plane home to many neutral beings. In the vast empty void of space within the plane, a seemingly infinite number of different sized gears exist, interconnected and turning, the smallest gears measuring at least 1,000 miles in diameter. The gears operated at multiple angles, some being at right angles to others. Gravity allowed all gears to be inhabited regardless of their orientation in space. Gravity in Mechanus was objective. Any flat side of a gear had gravity that pulled objects towards it. This means creatures and objects could live safely on any side of the gears at any time, but it also made traveling between gears a dangerous task because of the sudden shift of gravity. The 5th edition Dungeon Master's Guide offers optional rules for Mechanus, one being that creatures that aren't lawful neutral alignment must make a DC 10 Wisdom save at the end of a long rest or become lawful neutral until the creature spends at least one day away from Mechanus, or Dispel Evil and Good is cast on them. Another rule that I personally like is that any damage done on Mechanus always uses the average damage for the dice used. So the only rolls you make is for attack rolls, everything else uses the average in terms of damage. Now let's talk about the home of the Modrons, the city of Regulus. Regulus is comprised of 64 of the cog-like gears of Mechanus, each called a sector. A group of 4 sectors is called a region, and a group of 4 regions is called a quarter. Modrons of high rank and power oversee these units, each sector ruled by an octon, each region ruled by a quarton, and each quarter ruled by a secundus, with Primus ruling the whole of Regulus. All sectors held identical buildings, some for record keeping, some for law enforcement, and many courthouses among the different sectors. The entirety of Regulus is a constructed region, dwarfing all urban planar regions, even the Iron City of Dis. At the center of Regulus is the Modron Cathedral. To all who saw the cathedral, the massive building was much too thin for its height, seemingly defying the laws of mechanics. In reality, the cathedral is not as large as it seems. The site of it is some trick the Modrons played using perspective to make it seem larger. The interior of the cathedral is absolutely huge. The stone walls support vaulted ceilings that seem to spring into the sky, their upper reaches lost in shadows. Balconies on hundreds of floors ring the open space in the center of the structure, and Modrons of various ranks constantly move along the balconies on errands. Modrons were constantly buzzing around the cathedral, adding and removing fixtures, cleaning and polishing the structure, and guarding them against intruders. The central feature of the cathedral's interior is the orrery, a gigantic device built of constantly moving gears. Spheres inscribed with various symbols rotate around the device's central point, a needle that rises into the steeple of the cathedral. In 3rd edition, it gives the options of checks where players can determine what this structure is. A successful knowledge of the planes check of DC 15 reveals that the inscriptions on the spheres are in fact the symbols of the planes. Anyone who watches the orrery tick and whir for at least 1 hour can attempt a knowledge of the planes check at DC 30 to discover that the device is actually a working model of the planes, incredibly detailed and infinitely complex. By concentrating on a particular feature of the orrery as it moves, a viewer can use it as a giant scrying device to view what transpires on the planes corresponding to the chosen point. Failure by more than 5 on any check made either to use or understand the orrery results in confusion as the spell, but affecting only the individual who failed the check. The orrery also has the power of teleportation, though no one except Primus and the Secundi know how to initiate that function. These hierarchs find the device quite useful for planar travel. The Modrons, of course, do not allow the visitors time to examine the device, and doing so by stealth is difficult as neither the orrery nor visitors are ever unattended. There are always at least a few Modrons perched on the device, swabbing at one surface or another or making precise adjustments. Anyone caught using the orrery without permission is killed, no questions asked. Few other than the Modrons even try to use the device anymore because of its reputation for causing insanity. The other major structure of Regulus is the Tower of Primus. A fantastically complex clockwork structure, the Tower of Primus is a 41-story tall building comprised of rectangular blocks. Each block stacked slightly askew from the previous one to form a spiral originating from the very center of Mechanus. We'll touch on some features with the tower in the Primus video later this month, but that's all we're doing for now. Alright, and that is all I have on the home of the Modrons. There's a lot more lore and many more details for Mechanus, but not much else relates to the Modrons, so that's all I'll be touching on for this video. Thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and consider subscribing for more like this. Anyways, thanks again, and I will see you next time. Bye!